Alright, this video is going to guide you through the process of creating a pencil in Onshape. Please note that I've developed a part studio called Pencil. You can see that here at the bottom of the screen. You really want to make sure you use that. You'll also notice that within the part studio I created a sketch called Extrude This. That may not have been the best name, but it is what it is. That's over here on the left hand side. So let's begin by double-clicking on the words extrude this in my feature tree. And when I do, that takes me back to the sketch that I created when I developed this for you. So one thing I want you to note is that here I have for the first time what's called a dimension. The polygon I've created has 6 sides. And most importantly, if I click on the word front, you'll notice that if I zoom in, the center of the polygon is at this blue dot, but I have this black dot here. That black dot signifies what we call the origin in math class, or in CAD, the origin is a little different because not only is it the origin for X and Y, it's also the origin for X and Y and Z. So what we need to do is we need to take the center of the polygon. We need to grab a hold of it, click and hold, and we need to drag that thing so it aligns with the origin within Onshape. When I do, you might notice that the center of my sketch changes color a little bit. And what that means now is that the sketch is what we call fully constrained. We've defined every part of it. Okay, so we've moved the sketch. We're going to finish the sketch now. And I am going to extrude. Now, we know about extrusion. We know that maybe clicking on the corner of the view cube will help us a little bit. We know zooming in helps us. What you may not know is I don't necessarily have to click inside the shape to extrude. I can actually click the sketch. So it says extrude this. I'm going to click on it one time. And when I do, you'll notice it extrudes out towards me for a distance of 25 millimeters. That's about an inch. Pencils aren't an inch long. They're typically 7 inches long. So I'm going to change this to 7 space IN. And when you do and hit enter, you'll notice that the length of the pencil changes. Now, what I want to do is click on this black arrow, which changes the direction of extrusion back and forth. I'm going to do it a couple times so you can see it happen. What I want, however, is I want the pencil to project away from me. That'll just make the next step a lot easier. So I'll do that, and I'll click the check mark. Alright, best to look at this from the front, so I'm going to click on the word front in my view cube, and I'm going to zoom in again. And now I need to create what's called the ferrule of the pencil. That's the little metal piece that actually holds the wood to the rubber. To create it, I'm going to create a sketch just like we did before in other activities. And I'm going to tell the software that I want to sketch on the end of the pencil. Now, obviously, we know how to create circles, so I'm going to use the circle tool. I'm going to click the start point for the circle at the origin. But what's really important, and I want to be very careful about, is I want to make the circle just a little bit bigger than the corner of the body of the pencil. So I'll click my mouse not here, but out here a little bit. And again, I can finish the sketch and I can extrude what was now sketch number 1. Now when I do, you're going to notice that it's the same color because by default Onshape thinks we want to add on to the part. We don't. We actually want a new part. And in the same time, I want to show you that we could change the direction, but this time we don't want to change the direction. We want to use something called symmetric. And what's really crazy about symmetric is that then allows you to basically draw from the center of the part. Something you really can't do in something like Tinkercad. So I'll finish that. I'll point out now that I have part 1 and part 2. Body of the pencil is part 1. Part 2 happens to be the ferrule. And I'm going to sketch again. And once again, I'm going to sketch on the end of the ferrule. I'm going to look at it again. And I want to make another circle, and I'm going to make it just smaller than the ferrule. So again, the center of the circle is going to be at the origin. I'm going to move my mouse out, click a second time to create the circle. Again, just a little bit smaller than the ferrule. I'm going to finish the sketch, and once again, I'm going to zoom in here. I can extrude sketch 2. And it would make sense, of course, to do symmetric again. And when I do, it makes a new part. Now, this may not look proportional, so maybe I'll change a little bit. And when I do, you notice it goes to add. Make sure you force it to make a new part. All right, I'm going to pause a second. Okay, so that pause was just to kind of help you if you got stuck. I'm going to finish my extrusion. And I want to point out that I now have 3 parts in my parts tree over here on the left. Now, one thing about my pencil so far is that the body of the pencil is really, it's not a good color. It's not a good color at all. Pencils are usually yellow. Erasers are usually pink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to, over here on the right-hand side of the screen, something called the Appearance panel. So if I click that Appearance panel, you'll notice part 1 is blue. I'm going to double-click that. I'm going to change it to yellow. I'm going to click the green check. The pencil's currently a deep blue. I'm going to double click that. I've already created a custom pink color, but maybe this pink would work, or this pink would work, or whatever you want actually. If you want to make it green, make it green. I don't care. Okay, just change the color. Okay, so there's my version. And then last but not least, typically when I make the Appearance panel go away, I would say to students, okay, now I want you to take, and I want you to put your name on the side of the pencil. But if you watch this far, I'm going to show you what to do, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch one more time on this surface, so on this little flat section of the pencil. And just like I've done before, when we create, say, a circle or maybe a rectangle, I'm going to create a text box. I'm going to create it by clicking the start point here, or somewhere on the surface, and the end point here, or somewhere on the surface. And that's going to define where the text goes. Now, what the text is, well, it's my name. So, M-R-Y-E-A-G-L-E. That's me, right? So I finished that. You can see my name on the side of the pencil. That's cool. I'm going to finish the sketch. And, of course, I'm going to extrude sketch number 3. Now, what's interesting is, again, by default, Onshape wants to default to add. I'm going to say new. And boy, if I do that, you'll notice I now have 11 parts in my model tree. I definitely don't want that. If I click remove, what's funny is I still end up with 8 parts because the center of the E is actually now a separate part. It's cut off from the rest of my name because I'm cutting all the way through. I don't want that either. So I'm going to change my depth to maybe 2 or 3 millimeters, whatever feels good to you, so that my name is literally just engraved a little bit in the side of the pencil. Okay, so there's my name. Looks good. There's my pencil. Looks good. I've proven that I can follow along. I've changed the appearance. I've added my name. Everybody needs to create this because in a few days I'm going to show you how to sharpen your pencil. So thanks for watching. Do a good job.